everyone. My name's Ria Tanjuatco-Trillo, and I'm going to be conducting some fireside executives of Inspiro. And right now, I'm going to be speaking to Mark Belcher, who is the Vice President for Synergy. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fine. Can you tell us where exactly you are coming to us from?
Sometimes I'm in Texas and sometimes West Virginia. Right now, I'm in the beautiful mountains of Southwest Virginia.
Sounds amazing. Now, I know that you are the consummate animal lover, and I think you have some of your furry friends with you there. Well, what kind of pets are you into?
Well, tomorrow I'll have three new canaries to join the one I have, to join my pet squirrel that I have and raise, and my two doodles. I have a Aussie doodle and a golden doodle. So, needless to say, I love animals.
Like you have a little zoo happening over there. But the bird thing was pretty recent, right?
Yeah, I got one bird. It's a little baby. It was raised here locally, and it seems so lonely. Canaries are supposed to be loners. Well, not this one. So I have three more on the way.
It's not going to be lonely anymore, and you will have lots of bird song wafting through your house, I
That's
imagine.
right. That's right. I can't wait.
All right. Now, of course, as Vice President for Synergy for Inspiro, you have a very unique perspective because you actually started out on the client side. Now, obviously, you're on the service provider side. How did you make that transition?
I've worked for a lot of large corporations over my career, Dish, T-Mobile, Ticketmaster, where the expectations to deliver the best experience for a customer was right on your shoulders. So I learned what outsourcers were all about. I started working with them, right? So I think for me, knowing what a client's going through by having lived in their shoes, it's very helpful knowledge to have. And I think as I talk to clients about Inspiro, they appreciate that I came from their place. They know that I understand how important it is that we do a good job for them. So that's helped me a lot in the transition.
Yeah. So you know that they feel you feel them. So I imagine that really facilitates the process of communication between you.
When you can speak their language and you already know where they're coming from and what the priorities are, it just kind of, you can see the look in their face. Finally, I found someone who can understand me. I don't have to explain so hard what it is that what I'm trying to get done. So it's been very helpful. My experience is kind of tied and played real well with each other, as I'm now trying to build the best solutions for our clients in my current role.
Right. You mentioned Dish. When you worked for Dish, you were sent to the Philippines to help train the sales team. I think it was supposed to be a 2 month assignment that became a 2 year assignment. Tell us what it was like for you to live here in the Philippines.
I actually ended up living there over multiple assignments for about 10 years of my life. So whenever I meet a Filipino in the US, they're like, wow, you're so Filipino already. I'm like, I know. But, I was there during a time when the BPO industry was just a concept. We weren't sure how successful it was going to be, especially with outbound sales, which is what we were doing at that time. And I can just remember in a very short period of time, we were already outperforming a San Diego based outsourcer that was operating out of the US. And then it was like everyone was like, whoa, if they can do that, then they can do this and they can do this. So the next thing you know, I'm there launching all kinds of new projects from tech support, customer service, sales, every aspect of Dish's business practically now has a home in the Philippines and has had one there for almost 20 years. But it was a very exciting time. The Filipino team was so motivated and so excited because they wanted to prove that they can do this better than anybody else. And look at the industry today, over a million BPO workers now thriving in the Philippines.
Yeah, that is pretty inspiring. So, I mean, the Philippines has always been looked at as, destination of choice for BPOs. What is it you feel is a competitive value of the Philippines over other sites?
I remember when I first lived there, and mind you, when I lived there, I have never lived outside of the country before, right? So this was my first journey. And then as I started traveling out of the country and started experiencing other cultures in Asia outside of the Philippines, the Philippines felt like home, especially if you're an American, right? Like, wow, this is like the 51st state of the United States in the middle of Asia, right? The food's the same, the language is the same, the culture's the same. If you're looking to outsource outside of the U.S., and this is coming from a perspective of an American, you feel right at home when you go and visit the Philippines, and that naturally, our human nature, we're going to feel more comfortable with that. Dealing and interacting with someone that feels so much like you is a special thing. In other countries where English is spoken, I just don't know if that same connection or feeling is there as I felt in the Philippines. It's very unique.
Yeah, when you and I spoke before, you also made mention of the Christmas parties in the
Mm.
that you love so much. What makes them special to you?
I work for a lot of companies that have Christmas parties. The CEOs will articulate the strategy, the future. Uh, Inspiro takes it to a whole new level. I remember the first time I came, they're like, "Hey, we're going to have to rehearse for the Christmas part." Rehearse? Yeah, you're going to dance and you're going to perform. Oh, okay. 20 rehearsals later, we're there, trying to do a good job. I'm a terrible dancer, but I do my best. But then the C-level executives come out, and it's like Cirque du Soleil, right? It's like the most well-rehearsed professional performance that you would see on television. Now that and the energy, the employees were just so loving every second of it. That's an Inspiro Christmas party, not the traditional one that I was used to. And the employees, it was the highlight of their year, this event. So really cool stuff happening. I like things being at that level, not just a normal level.
Right. Yeah. You work hard, but you enjoy yourselves just as much, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Now, we'd like to think that most people have a good experience in BPOs in the Philippines, but how do you feel Inspiro can add on top of that?
Yeah. You know, uh, as I mentioned earlier, I was kind of there when it was just being proven as a concept. Can this work? I remember at that time it was Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, I believe, was the president. She had 5 memorandums of understanding that she was taking to the United States to show this new business option for American companies. And we were one of those, Dish. And at that time, the Inspiro was operating under a different name, but we were one of the first 5. And in fact, on paper, I believe we were the largest POC to get started. So we already spoke about what makes the Philippines great. Well, why not choose an operator who was there from the very beginning and continues to operate and has survived the business climate there despite the competition, and has grown outside of the Philippines into a more global operating model. The Inspiro organization is very matured and very experienced in doing this. Some of the seasonal things that we do where you go from 100 employees to 2,000 just like that very, very quickly. And while you're doing it, you're number one in results. What? How do you do that? Right? That's what Inspiro does. It's the maturity and the experience of knowing what they're doing in one of the greatest countries that you can operate in. And I don't think it gets much better than that. That's why I want to be here, part of offering this to clients, right? It's because it's that good.
Yeah, good product. Can't beat a good product.
Yeah.
Um, Now, like I said, you've sat on both sides of the fence. And when I spoke to some of the other executives, they really spoke about how important it is to take care of the clients from end to end, right? From the very beginning to well after you've booked the sale, basically. Um, for you, what is the secret to understanding the client's pain points?
Yeah, I think you know when you're doing like an international sort of partnership now in the BPO type setting, when you're trying to do the scoping and the discovery of what are their challenges, what are their issues, there are over 6,500 languages on planet Earth, right? It's so easy sometimes when you're interacting. Some of our clients that we're onboarding are new to doing this, and they're new to having conversations with folks on the other side of the globe, right? So while you're doing that, I always recommend make sure you're understanding each other. It's okay. You're both speaking English, but there's over 6,000 languages. It's okay if it didn't make sense. just, I constantly see client and the service providers being, I don't know, embarrassed maybe on saying, I didn't understand what you asked me. So I think it's best practice for me would be make sure you're communicating in a way where you can understand one another. And if you don't understand what the other's saying, it's okay to say that and ask for clarity. Make sure you're aligned.
Right, definitely good advice. What other suggestions can you give to clients and service providers so that they can further enhance their partnership and both reach their goals?
Yeah. I think that company culture is something that can be unaligned, right? So I think while you're trying to look at the basic things that they're probably trying, do you handle this type of work? How long have you done it? What are some of the things you've achieved? Dig into the culture, right? How do you deal with certain aspects of the cultural management of your organization? All the BPOs are not the same when it comes to that, right? The Christmas party we talked about earlier is a perfect example, right? What's important to you when you have that annual celebration, and what do you put into it? I think that cultural discussions about how your organizations deal with performance management, employee training and development, right? Some organizations, if you're not delivering, they're trying to figure out how quick you're going to be exiting their organization, right? From a performance management and accountability perspective. Other companies are trying to figure out what all can they possibly do to save you. They're not even thinking about you when you're leaving. That's not an option to them. They're trying to figure out what all they can do to help you get better. It's okay both ways, right? If it's your organization, you set the path of the culture the way that you want to, but you have to, I think, align that way in order to find a good partner and a good match.
All right, very well said for sure. Well, Mark, thank you so much for spending time with us for this fireside chat. It's been really great hearing your experiences, especially your personal experiences here in the Philippines. So, best of luck to you. Take care to you and your doggies.
Thank you so much, and you take care as well. I appreciate your time.